What's a quote that has just stuck with you? All those days that came and went. Little did I know that they were life. Wow. This is so short and sweet you almost don't realize exactly how much it's saying in so little words and just how powerful those words are. As an adult, I find myself living for the weekend. I don't even pay attention to what is happening during the work week. I just try to survive. I blink and another week has gone by. Another month. Another year. And little did I know that those days were my life. How do you unclench a tightly clenched fist? Do you apply just as much force? No. You just relax. That's how you let things go. From a dear friend who was suffering from extreme pain. Reminds me of a bed's hand monologue in Community. I have discovered the meaning of the giant hand. A hand has two functions, to grip and to release. But without both of these powers it is useless. Like newborn infants we grab what comes near us, hoping to control it, taste it, jam it into another child's eye. But the time we spend in control of our world is the time we spend letting go of others. Ideas. Stories. Pride. Girls in soft sweaters. Video games. Buttered noodles. Grip one for too long and you lose so much that you've never held. This giant hand was sent to all of us as an invitation to increase our mastery over the power to hold on and let go. Edit, since so many people like this quote. Here's a scene it's from. I recommend Community to anyone looking for a new show. It's funny, heartfelt, dives into genres, has animated episodes, an episode exploring different timelines, all kinds of awesome stuff, and it's my favorite show of all time. This too shall pass. My mom said that a lot to me growing up. I was a really stressed out, tightly wound kid. Years down the road, I'm just now realizing how right she was. Time keeps going. Life keeps going. No matter what happens. The crummy, stressful, or depressing situation you are in right now will almost certainly change. It's just a matter of time. The only thing you can keep doing is keep going through it as you. And hope for the best. It takes the stress away so little we actually stress about has the potential to ruin our lives. If you don't believe me, can you remember what you were stressing about 10 years ago? Does it still stress you out? At some point in your childhood, you and your friends went outside to play together for the last time and nobody knew it. I think about this quote a lot. At some point in your life your parents picked you up for the last time and nobody knew it. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is now. It's really helped me work around being lazy and procrastinating. I can't really explain why though. If you don't know what you want, you end up with a lot you don't. It took me until I was 31 to realize what I wanted to do when I grow up. I wish I would have found it when I was younger because I thought about it here and there. Oh well, I am really happy now. Did they all live happily ever after? They did not. No one ever does. In spite of what the stories may say. They had their good days. As you do. And they had their bad days. And you know about those. They had their victories. As you do. And they had their defeats. And you know about those. Too. There were times when they felt ashamed of themselves, knowing that they had not done their best. And there were times when they knew they had stood where their God had meant them to stand. All I'm trying to say is that they lived as well as they could. Each and every one of them. Some lived longer than others. But all lived well. And bravely. And I love them all. And am not ashamed of my love. Stephen King. The Eyes of the Dragon. I found this a while ago on a thread much like this. Hope someone else who needs it finds it. You can't make a racehorse out of a pig, but you can make a very fast pig. The days are long, but the years are short. In regards to raising kids. So many days you just can't wait till bedtime so you can have some peace. But then sometimes you look at them and wonder how they got so big so fast. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Mark Twain. That actually is pretty comforting. Follow your heart, but take your brain with you. No idea who said it. but I love it. It cost salad to be poor. A related, if rather longer quote. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. Perfection and power are overrated. Uncle Iro, bless his soul. I was never angry with you. I was only scared. Scared that you had lost your way. Gets me. Every time. Life happens wherever you are, whether you make it or not. I can't abandon the person I used to be, so I carry her. For riding motorcycles, don't dress for the ride, dress for the slide. I just have this image of a guy in full motorcycle gear hesitantly going down a park's slide. You only regret the gear you don't have when you need it, my uncle said, showing me the road rash scar that made up 70% of the skin of his right arm. I'm in an artistic business, and I'm currently lucky enough to be making good money creating content I love and seeing people enjoy it. So my dad told me this quote, which I believe was from JFK. There's always room for one more good one. If you're out there plodding away at something you love and find fun, keep at it. Everyone might say it's impossible to enter the music biz, or to write a great book, or to become an amazing designer, but there's always room for one more good one. Don't ask the blacksmith the taste of metal. Ask the horse silenced by the bit. Sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. Jake the dog. Adventure Time has some amazing quotes. My personal favis. Something weird might just be something familiar viewed from a different angle. And that's not scary, right? The master has failed more times than the novice has ever tried. I was drinking with a friend of mine years ago and he mentioned how in gardening, some people dig holes in their flower beds and put pint glasses in with a little bit of beer in the bottom. At night the slugs smell the beer, go over the lip, fall and then get trapped and drown in the beer. Then he said something like, sometimes I think we're the slugs. Sometimes you're the pigeon. Sometimes you're the statue. One time I was in the grocery store and overheard a dad and his kid in the liquor aisle. Kid, mommy says alcohol is poison. Dad, anything is poison if you take too much of it. I always thought that was a great response. And of course it stuck with me. The world breaks everyone. And after many are strong at the broken places. Ernest Hemingway. That's tragic and beautiful. He should be a writer. There is no sadder sight than a young pessimist. Mark Twain. We can't fix a problem if we don't first acknowledge it. If you loan someone $20 and you never see them again, it was probably worth it. Yep. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Roosevelt. And these children, whom you spit on as they try to change their world, are immune to your consultations. They are quite aware of what they're going through. David Bowie. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Did you ever try to put a broken piece of glass back together? Even if the pieces fit, you can't make it whole again the way it was. But if you're clever, you can still use the pieces to make other useful things. Maybe even something wonderful, like a mosaic. Well, the world broke just like glass, and everyone's trying to put it back together like it was. But it'll never come together in the same way. Moira Brown, Fallout 3. Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes? But when we look back, everything is different. That's why I have 365 different shirts, all slightly a different color, making a rainbow throughout the year, despite each one looking the same as the one the day before and the same as the one the day after. Measure twice. Cut once. I have a pretty good habit of double checking things, which helps because of how easily you can lose track without realizing it. One time, after being on a road trip for a few days with a group in a bus, we're getting off on our very last day, so I won't see the vehicle again. After being on the sidewalk for a while, I decide I may as well do one last sweep of the bus just in case anyone left something. Well, my passport was under the seat, so that was a good thing I did that. Experience is what you get when you didn't get what you want. Stupid people don't learn from mistakes. Smart people learn from their own mistakes. And wise people learn from others' mistakes. How sad it is that we give up on people who are just like us. M.R. Rogers. If you don't take risks, you risk not living. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing. Dwight K. Schrute. The Office. Changed my life. Don't set yourself on fire just to keep others warm. Bullet. Build a man a fire, and he'll be warm for a day. Set a man on fire, and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. If you're going through hell, keep going. Winston Churchill. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. Theodore Roosevelt. Outside of a dog, a book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. Groucho Marx. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. I don't want to be part of any club that would have me as a member. Groucho Marx. I never forget a face. But in your case I'll make an exception. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. When I was a kid I thought this was super deep, lol. I'm not Jewish, but a friend of mine invited me to Passover Seder. There's a part of the service telling the story of Exodus, where the angels sing in praise of God as the waters of the Red Sea close over the Egyptians as they pursue the Jews. And then God admonishes, then how can you sing while my children are drowning? Even though I'm not religious, it was a good reminder to have empathy even for people who are at odds with you. During the Seder, there is also a portion where you pour out wine from your cup. One pour drop for each of the 10 plagues. This ceremony is a reminder that the Jews' deliverance came at the expense of the Egyptians' suffering, and therefore, their own joy is diminished. I'm not a practicing Jew, I just celebrate some of the main holidays with my family to honor their traditions. But there is some beautiful symbolism in their ceremonies and traditions. Never accept the world for what it appears to be. Dare to see it for what it could be. Either the brightest candles burn twice as fast, or the difference between sinners and saints is that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Reminds me of this quote from Elizabeth Taylor. The problem with people who have no vices is that generally you can be pretty sure they're going to have some pretty annoying virtues.